So, thank you, Livy and Liz from Not Enough Space, for joining me. This is In the Thick of It, a video series I started with the Concert Chronicles, where we talk about mental illness and the struggles it brings, and dig into stories behind the music and the people that put it together, who also are going through these types of things. Like I said, in a way to help people as an outlet. So, why don't you just kind of talk, and we'll go from there.
Wish I could fly.
So we recently just dropped our song Solace and Silence. For that one, obviously like mental health being the big picture for the lyrical side of the song. And you can even hear in the instrumentals too, like it's a very sad sounding like instrumental, and then you have the lyrics on top of it. It makes it a pretty emotional song. So Tristan and I wrote the lyrics for Solace and Silence and kind of sat down and went over like how do we properly portray this without it coming off like kind of tone deaf, because that can be like the case some of the time. And so just going off of like personal experiences dealing with like losing family members and friends, and being a resource for friends and family that are actively trying
Hmm.
to do something so hasty like that, definitely makes the song hit really really hard. Him and I both have like personal experiences with that kind of thing. So like I wrote my portions of the song kind of based around like my mom and her point of view of like losing her best friend. And like I her best friend's name was Vladi, and I heard like so much about her growing up and all the like stories of before and the horror stories of after, and hearing about like the side effects. And I can say like I definitely ripped some of the lyrics from Era. Their song "Nigh to Silence"
Hmm.
is it was a big influence for me because they say I saw it in a dream and I passed it on. I think in like the first verse, like the opening of the song, and I was like, like what could I do? This is like these lyrics are really really good. Like I love this, and I've seen Era in concert, and they
Hmm.
they talk a lot about mental health as well through a lot of their songs. So I was like, I really like what they're doing. And so I kind of took it and was like, well, solace is such a deep word, if you put it together with a lot of things, you can make something really beautiful. So I just said stuck in a dream and I've passed on, to kind of give that like illusion of like I'm struggling, like not even just in my everyday life, but in my sleep as well. And like how can I get rid of like my inner demons kind of thing. So it's like my perspective on the whole songwriting process for Solace and Silence.
Okay. How about yourself, Lizzie?
Yeah, I think that the main thing about that song is like, basically silencing your demons, like Liv said. And a lot of people, unfortunately, when they are in that headspace, they just think like, oh, people would be better off without me, or, things like that, because they feel like a burden. And I think that like it's an important perspective to realize like it's not a selfish act. It's not an act of like seeking attention. It's really
Hmm.
just that person feels so defeated in their life and
Hmm.
everything feels meaningless, and that
Yeah.
they really do think that like if there was a world without them it would be okay, and that's totally
Yeah.
not true. But it's
Right.
Yeah.
really just like one of those cognitive distortions that totally like can really mess with somebody, and it's important to kind of figure out like how can you help somebody navigate a way out of that headspace, because it's not for attention like I said, and it's not because they're selfish, because they're not thinking, oh, like I'm gonna hurt people by
Yeah.
saying things or doing things. And like, even though that it will happen, people will hurt, it wasn't to hurt them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the same premise of like, sorry, like Tristan's lyrics for the song. He wrote the verses, and his was like talking about how alcoholism affects not only the person wanting to commit, but the people after the fact as well, and how it takes such a huge toll on like their mental health afterwards too. Like it's literally a domino effect that just continues and continues and continues. So I mean, I definitely agree with that.
did you find it tough tackling you said your demons kind of head on when you're putting together the music? Was it kind of tough using it or putting it together like that?
Yes, for sure. I was diagnosed at an early age with like a chronic depressive disorder, and it like it was really hard to like sit and like kind of think in that headspace and like get into that mindset to really write like the proper like lyrics to set the tone for the song. And Solace and Silence with Nothing Left to Mourn, basically saying like I've found peace in being, 6 feet deep, and there's nothing left for you guys to have to worry about now, is such a deep concept. It definitely, like, writing that song definitely fucked with my mental health just a little bit, because I was like, damn, I'm writing some deep shit. And it goes too for like the veteran community as well. There's not enough, I guess, help or resources for them, and veteran suicide rates are through the fucking roof. And I have a lot of family members, such as like my grandpa, who would call my mom and be like, hey Rosie, like, I I'm not feeling good right now. And he's like, just talk me off the ledge. And like just getting that kind of phone call, on a weekly basis from veterans to family members to friends who are just going through it is like such a tough thing to deal with. And writing a song like that, you have to sit, reel in, and think about, those conversations that you've had with people to really truthfully like portray what it's like to go through it. And I watch a lot of like the reaction videos that we get when people like react to our song. And this girl put it so beautifully. I wish I remembered her name. I think she's from the UK or Ireland, but literally such a beautiful soul. Watching her react to the song and then her talk about, the mental health side, like she really picked apart the lyrics listening to it. And she was like, this is so deep. She's like, they portrayed it so beautifully in the sense of, holy shit, this is a thing that people really, really go through, which I think was very enlightening as, the person that like wrote the song. And like, it definitely eased my mind a little bit, because I was like, oh my gosh, like they get it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to realize that almost everybody kind of goes through the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's recently I've found that coming together and trying to talk about it more, be more aware about it, and just realizing that you're not alone in it is just a great feeling
Yeah,
once you start to
absolutely.
realize it.
It's so unfortunate that there's not enough resources. Like you can sit and tell somebody, hey man, go to therapy, or somebody who's like actively in the works of trying to like, end their life. You call the suicide hotline and you're on hold for 45 minutes waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to help you. And it's the resources are there, but they're not good enough. You know what I mean? Like suicide rates in our young, adult community are through the fucking roof, especially in the last like couple of years because of COVID and everything. It has just, people's mental health has tanked. And like I said, there's just not enough resources for, people going through it.
Sure.
So,
What kind of resources do you think are available now? Like the best resources that, even though there aren't that many, but what would you view as the best ones that they can use?
there's a program for veterans in the state of Florida. Because I mean, the homeless population here is pretty high as well. But they do, I cannot remember the name of it to save my life, but there's a program, and they help veterans that are homeless and trying to like, find a way out of like life. They help find them housing and help give them like a new sense of purpose. And I wish that there was more programs like that. I think definitely like the suicide hotline is definitely a good one. I mean, like, unfortunately, like with how long it takes, like there's definitely got to be a little bit of reform with it. But I mean, it being one of the only options out there, I highly encourage people, like, if you need to call and take that time to sit and wait, because those people will help you find what you need. I mean, I feel like Lizzie, you might have some better answers just because of
Oh
the
yeah.
work that you used to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
so I can speak on the behalf of Central Florida really fast, and then I'll kind of expand from there. Like,
I like it.
so my big thing is I believe that community centers are a great resource because it's affordable, and also the people that work there really care. Like,
Mm.
it's like they handpicked that specific location because they believe in the movement and the mission behind it. So, if you're in the Central Florida area, I highly recommend reaching out to Mental Health Association of Central Florida. It is a hub where it has every resource in the book. Like that's literally what they do all day. They research. They research what goes with your insurance. They research, oh, like what's the wait list? So basically, like let's say you wanted to send like a referral over to them for depression or something. They will get back to you within like 3 days. And then they'll send you all of the resources that are covered by your insurance. If you don't have insurance, that's okay. They'll like let you know. And yeah, that's basically their jobs. They also have free support groups too. So like If you look on their calendar, you'll see free support groups that you can join, and you just have to sign up through an email, and then you can go, and it's every week, and there's different themes and topics. And then from there, I would say with that model, you can assume that any state probably has this. So just kind of looking for community centers where you can just see a list of options or a referral or something like that. Just talk to somebody, because I think a lot of people think like, oh, private practice therapy, that's going to be more expensive. So I totally recommend community centers. So just look up mental health community center near me, probably. Like, I feel like that's your best bet.
I like it. It's a really overall a great way to let anybody search it and kind of come
Hmm.
up with their local resources because you said every state's going to be different, but they're still going to follow. Ideally, they're going to have something like that or similar
Yeah.
in
And
place.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's not known because it's like people are like, oh, like they see in the movies, private practice, like they're in this like room with like a really like really expensive therapist, and it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
The Mental Health Association of Central Florida helped me find a therapist for $15 a session. So it's possible, like it is
Yeah.
out there. You just have to kind of get out of your own headspace of like, I don't want help, I don't need help. You kind of just be like, I need to just make these phone calls and do
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I had a tough time with that kind of stuff at first, and then all you need to do is find those resources and just kind of get the ball rolling. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
reach out that
Absolutely.
first time, just like you get outside of your comfort zone and do it, and then the rest will ideally fall into place. And then you
Right.
have that network of people that do care and that do want to help you, and you have them kind of helping start that process, which is the most important part.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, and we just hit 15 minutes too. Is there any last minute stuff you guys wanted to mention?
For those watching, just know that you do have options. You're very loved and you're very cared for. And I know that's like beating a dead horse. Anybody that's going through it hates to fucking hear that because they're like, I know I am. But just remember, you have options. There are people out there that you haven't met yet that are going to care for you and they're going to treat you like the human being that you deserve to be treated as. For any veterans watching, find your resources, find your community. You have served this country. You deserve to get the help that you need. And just for, the youth that might be watching as well, just know that you have a long life ahead of you with very big things ahead. And holding on to that last little bit of hope that you have can take you so far. It can take you
Mm.
so far. So just holding on and realizing that you can do this and everything will fall into. Sorry. I live in the boonies. um, um,
Damn.
yeah. But
Mhm.
everything will fall into place with time. Things do take time. Time is a killer and
Mm.
it sucks to be at, Mother Nature's hands, but just allowing yourself that peace of mind and comfort and realizing that things do take time and things will get better is a big deal.
Mm.
So that's my message, I think.
Excellent. Lizzie?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're going through mental health struggles, they think of how there's no meaning, I have no purpose. And I think that we all need to recognize that we were born into this life with a purpose and we always have meaning. It's a never ending thing, like it doesn't go away. So if you lose your job, you still have a purpose. If you lose your best friend, you still have a purpose. If you lose your partner, you still have a purpose. You eventually realize that you can find meaning through so many different things in the universe, and it's not just one thing. It's not just I'm a failure because I lost my job. It's really just you're going to figure out, well, after I lost my job, I actually had the best time of my life afterwards. Like you're going to feel like, oh, wow, this chapter closed, but a new one opened and it's going to be okay. So I think that's just the main thing is that we need to realize innately, like we totally have our own purpose and meaning, and we're just discovering it through time. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. One door closes, another door opens. Go through that door. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Keep going. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah. I overall just think that a lot of things, I know it sounds so cliche, but like it's a temporary experience sometimes. But I
Mm.
think it's important to just think of, well, how long is this going to last and how long am I going to let this feeling last?
Yeah.
Because everything, you can feel it out for as long as you need to do. Like for me, it's like if I'm upset, I'll feel it out for like a day. Like I'll be like, okay, let's give
Yeah.
it a day. Let's cry it out because I don't want to hide it. But
Yeah,
tomorrow, am I going to really give up everything because of yesterday? And I'm not going to.
Right. Exactly.
I like it. What a great message to spread. Again, you're not alone. Everyone is here to help, no matter what you think or what your brain is trying to tell you. So please reach out, make that first step, and the rest will come, coming from people that have done it. Like, we're all here for you. So, ladies, I really appreciate you talking about this and opening up and sharing your story. It was great talking to you, and there's just so many things that can be brought to the world's attention. And I'm glad that we were able to hopefully help at least one person.
Of course,
That's the
absolutely.
plan.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.